Hello and welcome to our conversation today. Our focus for these conversations is around an artist's motivation. So what compels her to make art? What's her bigger purpose and her contribution to the world? So how do they move from the inner to the outer expression of themselves? So to open our time together today, I want to acknowledge the traditional people of the land in which we meet, live, work, play and create. The Whadjuk Noongar people, their elders, past, present and emerging. I think acknowledging country is especially important in the context of how we as artists are so influenced by the country and the culture that we live in. Today it gives me great pleasure to introduce Trish Bygott. She's a garment designer and co-owner of bukesh.la, a small production house in Fremantle, Western Australia. Trish studied textile design at RMIT in the early 80s, moving to Perth from Melbourne to begin what turned into a 32-year art practice. In 2009, Trish established bukesh.la with her partner Nathan, with a calling to inspire others with the restorative, soulful nourishment of creative expression. Through the retail side of her business, she sells garments, but there's so much more to bukesh.la than mere clothing. The shop itself is a haven of calm. You immediately feel your stress levels subside. The garments are beautiful, made with passion, a hunger for beauty, exquisitely crafted from natural fabrics and finely embellished. As well as the retail side, she holds small and intimate workshops where she encourages others to explore the art of stitch and its endless possibilities and applications. So welcome, Trish. So
Thank you, Iris.
Today's title for today's conversation, you've chosen to talk about healing with stitch. And I'm really fascinated by that because that certainly is the sense that I got when I walked into your shop a few months ago. And it's just this release of like, I just felt at home, comfortable, just relieved to be there somehow. And I've heard people say about your workshops too, that they're just brilliant. So I'd love to know if you could tell me a bit more about this aspect of healing and what that means for you in the work, the garments you create and the work that you do, the creative work that you do, and how. That's one question. I'll get on to the others later. Yeah. So.
Okay. See, let me see if I can pinpoint and focus to that answer, that question. Look, the healing, Iris, permeates through all of the creative process for me, yeah, in everything I do, whether it's been from my own personal experience of healing and finding myself and restoring, what was bereft and empty within me, but now equally a recognition that, from my perspective, that the humanity, the time that we live now on this planet is in deep need of restoration and healing. Yeah. We are hungry for the soulful. We are desperate for nourishment and beauty. If we can just look at it bring it back to just a really simple political, the mere fact that our government has lumped the arts into roads and infrastructure.
Crazy.
It's not important anymore, and yet it's who we are. We're creative beings. It's vital. It's vital for the psyche. It's vital for the heart. What's an environment if it's not art filled and beauty filled? So the garment astounded me, that I found myself making garment. It's not what I thought, where I thought I would land. Yeah. But that itself came from, that was like one of the final, not final because there are multiple layers, but as I struggled within myself to, you know, will I paint, is it garment? There was this tussle that I had between what I thought was the artist's life, you know, that perhaps more ego outcome, to beginning to understand that what wanted to move through me, and you know, not pushing and forcing my life anymore, but what did life want for me, and the garment arrived. With that came deep inquiry, you know, really, the garment? Isn't there enough clothes on the planet? I'm not trained in garment.
Okay.
But the answer came, but we need conscious clothing, So then, well, what's that? And that means, to me, or my understanding of that is, where am I at in the making process?
Right. Okay.
If I set the intention and I am present and I am conscious in the process, and that's my drive, and that's what I enter and where I am when I'm making, then that garment, that piece, that cloth, that stitch carries that, it holds that energy. So it's taken me a long time to feel really comfortable with that. Dare I say that, you know, my garments carry this.
Yes.
And I can perhaps comfortably say that now because I hear it. That's the feedback I have. It's what I hear from the women who wear my clothes.
Yes.
And the first experience of that was a beautiful counsellor and mentor, and she was blind. And she said, my body wants to wear your clothes. My body experiences, nourishment when I wear your clothes,
That's beautiful, isn't it?
It is. Yes, that was a long, long time ago, and so the journey has begun of seeing that. Does that answer that? I mean, there's more.
I just think it's fascinating because it takes, with that person, it takes, you know, we tend to think about the look of clothes, and with her being blind, it's just taken it into another sensory area. Totally.
Absolutely.
You know, like what I'm getting from it is that it was a belonging. You know, her body needed that.
Absolutely.
Sort of the touch of it and everything.
The energetic imprint of it. Yeah.
Wow, what a thing to give. That's so lovely.
Yeah. So, you know, over and over again. I mean, just in the daily practice, if I'm really honest, I think that's what I return to, even when I just pick up that, to come into that stillness, in the making process. And what does that mean? That means I'm, you know, I've shed my thinking, I've shed my ego, my personality. I've just entered stillness, and in that vastness and stillness, I'm connected to the deeper part of myself. I'm connected to the cosmos, the divine. That matters to me more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long, long time to find that.
Sorry, carry on.
And there was a deep sadness, there was depression, there was anxiety. I mean, that's the past, but that's what I had to heal through as well.
And the making helped you through that. didn't it?
Absolute, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I'm coming to see this more and more, that the creativity is the core of who we are,
Yes.
and it's connected with intuition, spirit, soul. It's just it has to be expressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And so if that's who we are, then to not be in touch with who we are is a life lost, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But culturally, we live in a time where we've worshipped. We hold a few artists up on a pedestal, but it's for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Art in every. I mean, somebody came into the shop the other day. It was such a compliment. I was really touched, and they were beautiful words. And he said, "This is, where am I? This is art, living." What did he say? Oh God, now I've forgotten the punchline. This is living art. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you got that from him, because that when I asked you if you wanted to be interviewed, and you said, "But I'm not doing art," and I thought, of course you are.
That came up last week, exactly.
How lovely to have that affirmation. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Yeah. That's really great.
So there's the remnant struggle of, I didn't do the painting. I didn't become the artist that I thought I was,
Yeah. No, well, sounds to me like you've gone with the need and the pull of the creativity of who you are to express yourself. Yeah, in this totally amazing way. Yeah, beautiful.
I'm just wondering whether to add to that now, also then, or maybe it's later, I don't know. But how does the creative spirit, how does this labour-intensive, this soulful practice find its way in this world where everything's about the job and earning a living? And so that's also, there's another layer of healing there. How do I marry this, free spirit and this constant desire to play and be in that play space with the mundane and the practical and the everyday, and transforming that into an income? There's even healing in that. There's even healing in that, actually. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's in allowing yourself to be supported and nourished.
Absolutely.
By the practical world. There's the spiritual that you channel, you're bringing in, and you. The other thing is, it's kind of about seeing that creativity and the spirit or soul, whatever, in other people, and encouraging it out. Inviting. So the work that you do invites that, and. And yes, you're right about it. It seems such a contradiction, the world out there and how I feel when I'm making these things, and yet all of us, we're embodied in this practical world to do something.
We have to find our way. Yeah. So I'm passionate now. Business skills. If we could learn business skills and really understand the creative process and take it out of this, mysterious realm that it's in, then we will begin to, as a humanity, we'll be walking, the healing journey. And
wonderful.
Healthier.
Yes, I think so. And it's like, that the arts being seen as a kind of the feminine creative side of things that doesn't need to be paid for what it does. And then you've got the masculine, these are very arbitrary, and then the masculine side of running a business for profit. It's like, how do we get those two to meld so that they're supportive and sustaining each other as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the ongoing journey.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, I think it's yes, it's an interesting thing. I was thinking it's an ongoing journey for all artists, I think, to look at, well, how do I do this thing that I love, and it comes not only comes naturally, but also with a lot of work.
Yeah.
And how do I have it so that I can sustain myself with it, rather than doing some soul-destroying work that, you know, I have to do so that I've got some income. Yeah. And then you've got, you know, people in business who want to have a creative expression of themselves, because they're lacking that, you know. So it really is about bringing them together, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And perhaps and with the garment, you know, we're also then looking at the contrast of the mass produced, where slaves have worked, so that we can have that garment for $40 or $50 or you know, 60, 100. So we're having to re-educate ourselves as well, the real value.
Yes.
But anyway, that's more business.
Yes.
Back to you.
It's interesting though, that, you know, that interface there. Very interesting. Yeah. So would you like to show some pictures of garments that have been special for you? Just a number of those. Okay, so we'll get them up on screen. Lovely.
Okay, why did I choose this image? Two reasons. It embodies the simplicity that Nathan and I are passionate about. You can see very subtle what look like drawn lines. So I use the machine a lot as a free, I call it a pencil really, the drawn line. It's a very immediate way. You know, the hand stitch can be very labour intensive, and there's a freedom for me with this machine line. So it's a signature in my work, and so here it is in a very subtle form in this garment. And the pendant, so this was from, is it was it the year 2016 or 2017? I can't remember now. But, you know, I was asked to do a runway. I said, no, I'm not ready. And she said, oh, ridiculous, Trish, you could just pull, you know, anything off the rack. And I went, no, I can't, you know, it's not special enough. I have to prepare for a runway. Or how do I reveal the intimacy of bukesh? How do I talk about the stitch, And so the pendant arrived. And even within that, there wasn't time. And we had just begun a stitch circle. Susie Vickery, Wendy, I can't think of Lan. Anyway, we were gathering, and or it might have even been Susie Vickery said, "Oh, why can't we? Would you like a hand?" And so I arrived one night at the stitch group, and these pendants for this runway became, you know, the essence of women in making and sharing.
Oh, wow.
They were thrilled and delighted to be learning the technique. I mean, I was just in awe. I was so humbled and touched by, their devotion, but the excitement for them and the thrill for them. So it was many hands and many hearts. I couldn't have achieved the result in the time, and every one of the girls on the runway had one of these beautiful pendants.
Oh, wow.
So then this next little slide, this is where I just have to do something funny once I've done it. Everything's okay. Yeah, we don't know why that is, but there you go. So here's now a sample, and of this silk stitch work that all of these pendants had.
Oh, really? Is that the technique
Yeah.
that you've used there?
So that's the technique I've used. Yeah. No. It's embroidery.
Gee.
So it's all, yeah, that's hand stitch, back stitch and satin stitch for this any stitches who may see this, and it's using the beautiful silk of Nancy Ballesteros, another wonderful maker, creative woman in our community, and I've put this up. This is an unfinished piece. This did become a pendant, but the sampler, this image is also relevant because the sampler and samples have become my, they're my greatest, they're my love, they're my sanity, they're my love in amidst the mundane and the practicality of running a business. Are we not all time poor, hey, as creatives, or everyone? Yeah. So the sample is small, it's intimate, it's achievable, and I can get in touch with my making and my art, like my expression with these samplers. And then as a teaching tool, again, you know, there is so much skill. All these, you know, they've got their jobs and their mothers, and they, after the domestic duties and after the job they've held down, you know, that 1 hour or that half an hour that they may have left of their day to sit down and knit or stitch. But you want to love what you do, and so this art of the sampler has become a bit of a passion of mine.
Lovely.
And then I moved to this one because here is the silk stitch on a garment. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So there we have it in the pendant form, but here it is. Here's one form of it in a garment. And again, I chose this one because this was a woman who. This is a good way of perhaps articulating. Someone will say, Trish, I just want something special, yeah, something for me. And look, part of me dreads the moment someone says that, and another part of me has really come to trust and delight in that. And my task at that moment then is to tune into her. Who is she? What stitch? What pattern? What design? What does she need? And you know, you've nailed it when they cast eyes on it for the first time. First of all, they trust you deeply, which allows me to then trust my process. And for this woman, this was perfect. And then I just quickly nipped that in because really this is where it all begins. Yeah. And I love the drawing process, and the drawing also amidst the demands of life. I can sit down in an evening and produce a little drawing, and I am filled up. Yeah. And way back, the drawings are particularly significant also under the umbrella of the healing journey. At a time when I was navigating single motherhood and the deepest of darkest depression, and really questioning, you know, what had happened in my life, I began to draw, and again was surprised. This is another one of those moments where you go, oh, the garment, well, these little figures have appeared with the garments. Perhaps it was the beginning of getting in touch with the deeper yearnings that I had lost, and with no knowing where they would go or what would come to pass. I remember saying to these images one night, you never know, girls, where they'll go. Some have heard this story before, but it's a special part of the journey for me. And lo and behold, they did come to pass. So, I've brought this into, because the breadth of my making is broad, from the drawn to the stitch to the garment to the painted.
Oh, beautiful.
And then here, this is perhaps another, here's the collar dress. We just saw it before in denim with the big bold red silk stitch. Here it is shorter with a short sleeve, and with the machine drawn lines again. So just to give a, the garment has become, again, I have to, I found myself making garment, constantly questioning, really? Why? How? I don't know how to do this. And for a long time, as a textile designer, or that deeply within me, learning to, the garment was my canvas. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I could use this one dress alone, could keep me happy for the next 10 years, because it's endless in its how it could be treated. Yeah.
Yes. You.
I'm just flicking along, darling. Is that what I'm meant to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
It's beautiful. I'm just really enjoying this.
So now we've left the garment, and here's an example of the samples that I speak of. Yeah, and the samples have become my little paintings. So there you go. I got to.
You got to do it.
Got to do that, and yeah, this one I chose because the figure is in there, and as as we know, as creatives and makers, we find our language, we find our symbols, yeah, and imagery. And this little figure, in all her simplicity, has she appears and she reappears and she reappears in my work. And I love returning to her every time I pick her up, or draw her, or paint her, or stitch her. Yeah, she's very significant to me.
So Trish, is this a mixture of machine and hand stitching that you've got?
No,
there?
this is no. Everything you see here is hand stitch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And apart from the little figure, which is chain and back stitch and blanket, everything else is just playing with running stitch. And the dotted polka dot piece on the right, in fact, is the back of often any textile stitch person will know this immediately. What happens on the back is often more exciting.
It is.
And it's the surprise. Yeah, it's what do they say? There's a wonderful story of someone going to a quilt exhibition, and you're not allowed to touch anything, but women can't help themselves. They all want to look at the back of the work.
Yes.
There's something they said, and again I heard somewhere else that the soul, the soul is in the back of the work.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's lovely, because certainly it's the bit that has the sort of, I suppose, the subconscious is going on there.
Yeah.
You've got the conscious on top, where you're looking at it and working it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. And I don't know what's next. Oh, here we go. Yeah, and look, and yeah, this is this one's in. It's also very small. So it's a small sampler, but it's important as a painter. The painter in me. This satisfies her, that aspect. Also the repetition, just in the contemplating this talk, and looking back over the years, I stumbled across my, my teenage years and what filled me up and kept me going through that time. And spinning and weaving and knitting and crocheting. And so I was just pondering on the potency of repetition, which stitch is as well. The calming effect, the therapeutic effect.
Love that piece. That's just so lovely.
And it's also a good one to put in because you saw the silk stitch used, in that floral, naive style, but here it is in a more painterly way. So I certainly do have a dream to. I would love to see some of these as large works one day.
Yes, wow.
Yeah, I'd love that. And then these little pieces, most recent, COVID, when I couldn't wait to shut the door. I was given permission to shut the door.
Yes. Play, time to play.
And as we were all, we were all processing so much in that time. Yeah. And this is stem stitch. I adore the repetitive nature of it. I adore the surface treatment. As an embroiderer and a lover of embroidery, we looked, to the history and the past and cultures and a time when there was time on the planet. And the garment was fully embroidered. The garment may still be fully embroidered in the House of Dior, where there's minions and many a hand. But it's the love of that fully stitched surface. You're making cloth. So I was surprised by these little squares. I was content with these little squares. It still may be that I was creating a blank canvas, and I'll come back into them. So maybe we'll leave it at that. They were little canvases. That's what I thought I was doing at the time, making little canvases to stitch back into. So that's that lot. And now I still can't remember what's next. Oh, another drawn.
Lovely. Are they for designs that you stitch into?
And they're for they're for that's feeding the textile designer in me that yearns still for the time when the day comes that I can. Yes, I hand paint cloth, but it's rare that it happens. And then I had a lot of women, begging me to teach textiles. So last year I just began the journey, and I'd like to continue it, of teaching surface design. So we did a series of workshops last year. So this is the drawn element. And
gorgeous.
And then there's a painting. And so I'm delighted that there's room for this, and also important to just recognise the use of the figure again. So the little stitched figure, and here she is in the painted form.
Yes.
And
is this something that you've done recently as well?
No, this is going back. No, I haven't painted for some years now in this form. But they're really important to me, Iris. And maybe just in this process of looking at this, pondering on this talk with you, something came in very strong, like just this absolute determination to, I've carved out the space for the small works. Now it's time to carve out the space for for the painting, but it has to be set up. There has to be a room for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they say that, don't they? You have to have your work out. Yeah. So, you know, here on this table where I sit is the embroidery thread and the cloth, and, you know, by the bed is the fine lines and the drawing book.
Yes.
It has to be out. So I must set this up now. And then this will feed back into the, I mean, I'm just, how do you point? Like I just, I don't need to point. But anyway.
Yeah. You've got a mouse in the middle. Yes, there you go.
Oh, yeah, does that little do that? Yeah. So, you know, just now talking to you, my eye just caught that stripe, and there was just this little, I just got very excited because I want that to be cloth one day, darling.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can see a skirt.
The stripes there. Yeah.
I can see that printed on that hundreds of metres of cloth. And I want a dress made out of that. So there we go. The painting is vital. It's a vital process. It's time to bring everything together now. Yeah?
Yes. Yes. I love those leaves, that theme you've got there.
Yeah, the leaf, the feather.
Oh, it's a feather. Yeah.
Well, she's sometimes it's feather, sometimes it's seed, sometimes it's leaf.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, an important symbol for me. And is that where I finished? I'm just interested. Yep, that's the end. Yeah, I wondered whether to put this in, but I did, because it you know, it's one of those rare opportunities where we had this rare opportunity to produce a large textile work, public artwork for the Supreme Court, and it's one of those moments where you bring all of your skills together. Yeah. And you have to pull something off. It's not, you know, Trish in her, you know, little playland. It's oh my goodness, how do you make the Western Australian, gee, I forgot what it's called. Are they called a crown?
The crest? You mean
crest,
the whole
thank
crest?
you.
Yeah.
The crest. That's it. Couldn't find that word for a sec. You know, how do you make two kangaroos, a swan on a shield, and a crown work in textiles, and for the environment that it was intended for? So it was a highlight of my stitch and the silk and working with a team.
I'm really interested to know. So that's all stitching in the brown. The background is just constant.
There's the entire piece is stitch. If I'd, I know you said 6 slides, and I was naughty and I put in more.
That's okay.
Yeah, we could have. Yeah, what it is it's strips of silk.
Okay.
That might be 0.5 wide.
0.5 what?
0.5 wide.
A centimetre. Half a centimetre.
Yeah, half a centimetre.
Yeah, that's small.
Yeah, all folded and pleated, just folded. So they got, and then laid down, and then running stitch.
Machine?
I think we were all hand, my darling. There's not 1 ounce of machine. Yeah,
incredible.
Was it 1.7? No, 2.7. 2.7 by 1. Gee, I used to know off by heart. 2.7 by 1.5 wide.
Meters, is that?
Meters, yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. So, yeah, many stitches, many hours, and
oh, what a beautiful thing.
So that's it for the imagery. Shall I pull out of here?
Yeah.
And I found it really hard to choose. We don't often go back through our work. So thank you for that thank you for the process of looking back over the years. Yeah, it's been a really good process for me.
Good.
So I just want to
yeah.
slip that in and thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that's lovely feedback. Yeah. Well, great, because I think sometimes we don't stop and look at how far we've come and what the development and the process has been. I just love how you say you kind of wait for that guidance or download or whatever, and then lose yourself in the work. And then there's the other thing, isn't there, when you get to the other side and you think, oh, well, actually, yes, I did that. I thought I was doing this, but I did that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And yeah, that's I mean, isn't that one of the most beautiful things about the creative process, the surprise?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And that childlike delight. You know how a child will come and say, look what I've done, look what I've done. And as adults, we sort of we're not sure if we're supposed to, if it's okay to be that excited about what we do.
Yeah. That exploring and curiosity, about, whoa, if I do this, this might happen, and not worrying about whether what happens is okay or approved of or whatever. It's just
delighting in what arrives.
Yes, lovely. Yeah. That's really fabulous. So I think that's just been so beautiful, Trish. Thank you. So
I was going to say, I'm just looking at the time, that is our time, isn't it?
Yeah, but look, I don't care if I go over a bit. So,
okay. I'm happy.
Yeah. So what have you got anything you want to say further, or any? I think what's coming through for me is there's so much passion there, and a real strong sense of direction. If I keep going like this, sort of like it's coming in.
Yeah, no, I like that. And you just used the word before, Asha, wasn't channel, doesn't matter, conduit, no, it wasn't even that. But again, where I'd like to finish, it's taken a long time to again trust this, but at a time where, let's face it, the world's gone mad. But I don't mean that as a doom and gloom. In fact, I find it really exciting. If I look at the personal journey of having to reach rock bottom, and in order to wake up, then in actual fact, humanity's at an incredibly exciting place.
Yes.
Because we've reached rock bottom.
Yeah.
And
it's got to change.
and if we're going to survive as a species, then we have to wake up. And there's no greater time than now.
Yeah. No,
this is the point. This is the point at which we do it or not. So from I think the greater perspective, or why do I do what I do now, or what keeps me going. The act of making, the act of picking up that needle or that lump of clay, but I'll stick with the needle and thread. That act alone, I honestly believe, and I might be wrong, doesn't matter, but is more vital than ever before. And for every person that embarks on the creative process and begins to acknowledge, like we can be making and making, but if you can become conscious and go, this is work. I am doing vital work on the planet. Yeah?
Yes.
Anxiety is through the roof. Everybody is time poor. Mental health, the speed at which, let's again just take, the example of the last few months where everyone went, I can shut the door. I'll add to that, in this part of the world, we were blessed and privileged, yeah, I have friends in other countries, and that wasn't the case.
Yes.
You know, India, South Africa. I mean, there's people starving all over the world because they were told they couldn't work anymore. This conscious act of stilling, entering into deep stillness, connecting back within, connecting to the divine, whatever that offering is, that making process. You said something before, it was like, let's do full circle back to the beginning. We are creative beings. Yeah. And so that's what we're here for. It's like, when truth hears truth, we know something to be true, but we love hearing it because truth loves hearing truth.
Yes.
The creative being loves to have the creative process mirrored back to itself. It's one of those, then I honestly believe we're enacting at that. It's like, actually, let's call it spiritual activism or sacred activism. Yeah, it's sacred work that's required on the planet now more than ever before.
Yes.
And in 10 years ago, I might have said that. Yeah, and gone, no, that's what I want to believe. And now I know it, or I don't question it anymore. You know, the Tibetan prayer flag, the Tibetans they don't question whether that prayer flag ripples out across from the Himalayas. They know it to be so. So I can now honestly say that I know that, well, like the crest. The crest was a good example of that. I wanted to run a mile from that project. And then I had like a light, a Boltoning light of, something that just went, this is the house of justice, Trish. This is an opportunity to walk your talk.
Yes. Yeah.
If this, and I truly believe that piece of cloth sits in the Supreme Court and forever whispers out. The women Jane Donlan and Nikki DeMichelia, that was the team, and that was their task. That was our task. That every stitch, to the best of our capacity, was done with prayer and intention. May justice.
Yes.
May justice reign.
Amazing. It's what you were saying about your clothes carry that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, absolutely, that crest and that whole cloth, fabulous.
So, one little dress, or maybe that dress will ripple out.
But just what an amazing piece of work, and just beautiful talking with you. And thank you so much, because it's been really lovely to see the depth and see into your work. That's a fabulous opportunity. So thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Iris.
It's been really important. Thank you very much.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Great.
See you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao.